here in St. Louis, Missouri. Kilkerran, I hardly knew her. Coffee whiskey, that's a definite no. Peated bourbon, definite no.
This is the newest in their lineup. This is the best whiskey in the world.
Is everything single barrels or?
Yeah, that's what we do.
Just single barrels everywhere?
So are you the guy that did the video? Are you Brewzle?
It is a scorcher here in St. Louis, Missouri. 97 degrees right now, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is miserable. I thought I'd come north, I'd get away from the heat, but apparently it has followed me, but that can't stop the bourbon hunting. We're gonna start our hunt today at Grapevine Wine and Spirits. Pursuit stuff. Again, these Knob Creek 12s freaking everywhere. Russell's 10 down there, 40 bucks. The Frenchman, those were actually really good. We tried a bunch of these. Lucky 7 sent us a bunch of samples. We tried a bunch of these. Really liked them, these and the double oaks. Apparently some of y'all can't find Old Granddad 114. Didn't realize that. I don't think it's distributed in every state. Knob Creek 7, right? We just bought the 10. It's pretty freaking good. Russell's 6-year right down there. Anything really interesting or local we should keep an eye out for? We know Ben Holiday, we know Jay Rigers. I think Barrel King's not too far from here. Wouldn't mind finding some of their stuff. Anything else that I might, like bourbon-wise?
Milton Distilling.
Okay.
Duckett, Demetrius Kane. His stuff's pretty cool. He's got Copper Dome under his umbrella.
Do you have any of that here?
I don't have any of his bourbons in right now. I've got some of his rum
Okay.
at the moment. There's a lot of good stuff around. There's a lot of small producers.
Yeah, it's crazy how many great distilleries there are in the area. Buffalo Trace, you're doing a combo pack?
Yeah, with the so it's a barrel selection of the or single barrel of the Lucky 7 Frenchman.
Yeah.
We picked that with the Bourbon Society here, so it's the first barrel of Frenchman to come into Missouri.
Is that typically how you handle, I mean, I don't know if Buffalo Trace is allocated around here, but
It is, yeah.
So that's typically how you do allocated stuff with like
Often,
a combo?
yeah. And then we always do, for the stuff, and we're a small shop, we get 1 or 2 bottles of some of the cool stuff. So what we'll do is once or twice a year, we'll typically do an allocated bourbon tasting. We don't have anything to sell, because it's stuff that we got 1 bottle of, but we can open it and share it with 40 people.
That's awesome.
We'll typically do 8 spirits. It's a pretty awesome set, depending on what we got in. Then we get to taste it too, which is always nice.
Makes sense. All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
sure.
All right, nice store. Not a huge bourbon selection, but again, it seems like they're either going to be doing combo packs, which I think's fine because I'm oftentimes going to buy those barrel picks anyway at a store. You know, and if you get a combo pack and it's MSRP-ish for both, I don't mind that route whatsoever. And then a lot of the more rare stuff they save and allow their patrons to try them at some sort of dinner event, which is pretty cool. But didn't find any gems there. We're going to see if we can't find somebody that has a bigger bourbon selection, grab something local. Let's see what that next door looks like. BetterHelp is actually sponsoring us on this bourbon hunt and helping us get to our goal of distilling 500 barrels of whiskey next year. Not to mention, I love sponsors for things that I think we all need anyway, and having someone to talk to is definitely something we all need. Talking to a professional is a lot better than getting advice from your cousin Jimmy, because Lord knows what kind of feedback you're gonna get. When it comes to taking care of yourself, it's important that you take care of all of you. Now, your physical health is important. I'm working on that. But it's also important to keep up with your mental health. If you or someone you know is going through a tough time in life right now and you haven't found a therapist to connect to, then perhaps our sponsor today may be the right fit. BetterHelp is dedicated to helping people connect with licensed therapists quickly and from the comfort of your own home. At BetterHelp, their entire goal is to quickly match you to a therapist that'll be there to listen. Just go to the website, betterhelp.com/Brewzle, answer a few simple questions, and you'll be connected to a professional therapist. This process is not only simple, but you'll usually be connected in less than 48 hours. Now, while I haven't used BetterHelp myself yet, I'm glad they reached out because I'm definitely going to. I mean, we are pushing harder than I have ever pushed. I'm on the road for months at a time away from my family. Like, there's just a lot going on that I need to sit down and talk to somebody about, because we all struggle at times, and knowing when and where and who to connect to is half the battle. You could use my link, betterhelp.com/Brewzle, or you could choose Brewzle during sign up to get a discount off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp. Let's get back to that bourbon hunt. And the story is Friar Beverage. You may notice that I happen to be starting on the outskirts of St. Louis, in the suburbs, not in downtown proper. We're gonna work our way there in just a little bit, but my youngest daughter is big into animal conservation, and there happens to be a wolf sanctuary here right on the outskirts of the city. We got a couple of behind the scenes passes, so I dropped Jill and her off there to do their thing, and then I'm hitting a few stores, and then I'll finish the second half of the hunt actually in St. Louis. Some high and wickeds right there off the bat. The Jury, I haven't seen some of those. Stolac, Ozark Highlands. I don't know anything about that. Heirloom corn bottled in bond. Savage and Cook. Bloody Butcher. Now I've had some Bloody Butchers. This one's pricey for a Bloody Butcher at $103. They all have like a really strong dusty note. I'll hold on to this. I may pick it up. Don't really want to because I haven't loved the Bloody Butcher stuff that I've had so far. It's interesting. I don't hate it, but it's just like an occasion thing. It's like, I need to try that. You know, I want people to kind of understand what the grains do, but it's not something that I just want to go back to a whole bunch. It's kind of like that Jeff the Creed right there. That's their weeded, but it's Bloody Butcher weeded. And every one of those I've had have been interesting. I think people should try it, but it's like you kind of got to be a little bit of a whiskey nerd to understand what it is and enjoy it for more than just a great pour. Snow Day Blacksmith Distillery. Straight wheat bourbon whiskey finished in Amberana? Well, that made it easy to say no. Palmstown Distilling. See, now we're talking. We got all sorts of weird stuff to look at. Double oaked, finished with oak staves, though. I mean, I don't hate oak staves, but I would rather have a sample of this before I bought it. It's oftentimes, if it's a brand I've never heard of, they double oak it to give it more color and flavor with staves. Adds a lot of harsh barrel char to it. Found North stuff. A lot of folks love these, but yeah, I think most of these are Canadian. This is a Canadian whiskey, 18-year-old Canadian whiskey. 18 years old for that price may be great to you, but if it was a bourbon, sure. But a Canadian whiskey, I'm not interested. E.J. Curley, single barrel, 113 proof. So they bottled it, but it's sourced. Nice looking bottle though, I dig that. Withered Oak Rise, 20-year-old. Found North, and a Booker's. Some Good Time stuff. Cigar finish. I think I tried their cigar finish. Theirs has a much more of like an actual cigar flavor, which is crazy. Obviously not tobacco flavored, but it does have kind of that tobacco taste to it. Like some smoke wagons and some pepper decanters just hanging out here. On the pepper decanter, somebody gave me one a while back. Loved it. I mean, liked it a lot. I bought the ones in Louisville in that hunt, and they were just okay. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. These Blue Note juke joints are good stuff right here for the price. I don't see a price on those, but those are normally super affordable. That's what I like about Blue Note. Usually $50, $55. Somebody really wants that bottle right there. I know they do. Tequila G4. Fancy. More of the Good Time stuff there. Again, really strongly flavored, but I found a few flavors I really like. Single malt Poggy Barrel. Not my jam, but don't see it every day. The Forge. I think the Forge is the one I've got at the house that I really like right there. That bottle of Backbone. Really enjoyed that one. Kill Karen. I hardly knew her.
Yeah, that's not funny.
It's a bad joke day. I'm just gonna break out all the dad jokes. I'm sure that one's been done before. I'm sure it's not original. All the Southern Star stuff. Paragons, cash strength Paragon, bottle and bond Paragon, and the double rye. Of course, this Kings County stuff, a lot of folks love that. Coffee whiskey, that's a definite no. Peated bourbon, definite no. Blended bourbon. I'm on my way to Ben Holiday in Missouri, and one of the team members is bringing a bunch of MB Rollin' because we passed them on the way up here. Really want to do something with them, but they're bringing some MB Rollin' samples. So I'm going to try those before I go buy more of it. I have some of this dry fly stuff at the house for sure. A lot of rye whiskeys here. Like, most of the small brand names I found here have been rye. John Party's Buffalo Chip Select. Just Tennessee whiskey. 2 years old.
There you go.
Thank you. All right, I do not think I will enjoy that bottle as much as it costs, but I've thought that before and I've been wrong. So sometimes you just don't know until you buy them. Also, you might notice we've outfitted Jill's Grand Highlander here with a little piece of equipment so that we could get all of our luggage in the backpack here. We got a bag to put on it, keep it out of the weather. We're trying to alleviate these space concerns, and now it's just budget concerns. But I know. Somebody typing right now in the comments, this guy has no budget, and you're kind of right. I mean, I kind of try to keep it in line. I don't usually, so at least I have a thought in mind of a budget I would like to be within. But if you find the bottles, you don't get to take them home unless you spend the money. So let's head on to store number 3 and see what that looks like. Also got some roof rails for that thing. We're gonna throw a luggage carrier on top just to make sure we have enough space. Grabbed a freaking big old suitcase. All my whiskey goes into the suitcase now, so I'm not having to wheel boxes up to hotel rooms. Trying to make this easy for these road trips. I mean, we're doing at least one of these 2 to 4 week road trips a year now. And with the whiskey content, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to fly places anymore when I can stop 3 or 4 spots along the way, do some bourbon hunting, create cool videos for y'all. But our next store, St. Louis Cellars. Blue Notes in the window warming up. Seriously, 55. Is there a better value on the market than an uncut, unfiltered Blue Note for $55?
I really don't think they're.
Not from a small producer, for sure.
I say them and New Riff probably have the 2 best value single barrel picks you can get.
Yep.
I think on average the Blue Note picks are better on average than some of the New Riff picks.
Okay.
But you know, that just comes down to whoever's picking the barrels and what they offer you.
A lot of folks talk about, barrel picks and who has a good palate. But honestly, you can only pick as good a barrel as they give you access to. So anything interesting, maybe something local, like we have a lot of bourbon.
Yeah.
But anything interesting or local or different or unique that you might have here?
I got a few of the Barrel Kings in right now.
Oh yeah, I need some Barrel King stuff.
We're one of the few retailers that got them before they went back to distillery only.
Does Barrel King release all their stuff distillery only?
Now they are only distillery only. A couple of things happened. Initially, it was gonna go out to retailers in St. Louis as of last year. One, they got Matt on board from ADHD Whiskey, and then their business just blew up online. So now they're pretty much just selling out there in general. So it doesn't make sense for them to do this, especially when they're self-distributing. All I've got left of what I have from them is Rise. All the bourbons got picked through over the last couple months.
Good for Barrel King. I didn't realize. I was hoping
I'm
to
happy
find
for
some.
him, and I love Jared, and he does amazing stuff, But yeah, I've got a few of his things left. The Stolocks out of Union, Missouri.
Okay.
Super duper good.
Is that bourbon?
Yeah, so.
Couldn't really, it didn't say.
It's considered what they call a Ozark Highland as well as a bourbon. It's made the same way as bourbon, but it's also made all local ingredients, all local water, all everything, which is a new classification as of 2022. Although the style of whiskey has been made in the Ozarks for over 200 years.
Okay, so it's basically a bourbon. It just meets a tighter classification of Ozarks Highlands.
Yes.
Do you have a Can you pour samples?
Yeah, I got one over here.
Ooh, I'm gonna go ahead and grab that one. It looks like the last one. How long have they been making whiskey?
He's been making whiskey since he was 12, but he's been distilling legally the last 8 years. This is technically a 14-year. Figure that out.
They distilled this themselves, all local grains.
All local grains.
I wonder how old that bottle is, though.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste particularly old.
It doesn't.
But it's really nice. Definitely take that one with me there. This one is kind of interesting to me because it's Ozark Highland certified, which obviously makes me think of a Scotch. But there's something about the kind of mellowness of that reminds me of a Scotch as well. Now, it obviously doesn't have that single malt flavor, but it has just kind of I'm wondering if it's something to do with how it's aged, because a lot of, Scotland's not going to have quite the temperature fluctuations we have in a lot of places here. So it's a completely different aging environment. And I'm wondering if this spends its life in a different aging environment as well.
So it's same distillery as Nobleton's and Planters. It's all out of Nobleton's distillery. This is just one of the side projects he does with another gentleman named Marc. Yeah, he does that inversion for this label, and then he makes a couple other things for his own, and then he makes a couple others for some other people too. His name's Demetrius. The guy is super cool. He's kind of like a young ZZ Top, super long beard. He used to be an accountant, now he's a farmer. Does everything, all the own farming for his own whiskeys.
How far away is this place?
Like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have time this trip, but that would be really fun to check out.
Yeah.
Anything else over here we really need to try?
Sure.
Like
Have
that?
you heard of 15 Stars?
Have not.
So they're out of Bardstown, Kentucky. They took #1 whiskey and #1 bourbon in the world last year.
We don't trust awards too much.
I don't either, except for New York and San Francisco.
Yeah.
They're the 2 non-biased. They can't pay for those scores.
Okay.
So they're completely double-blind judging still. New York is the largest for whiskey. There's 22,000 whiskeys in part of that every year or more. It takes 50 judges to do. Each judge gets 500 whiskeys. It takes them 3 months to do it. Completely non-biased. They don't even know what they've rated until at the end.
Now, was it this price before they won?
No. So they went up $20 across the board after they got it because they had 3 in the top 5.
But it was
from
still
that competition.
expensive.
Yeah, still over $100 for most of them. This is the newest in their lineup. This is the best whiskey in the world. This took every category. This was their double platinum winner.
The rye.
The rye.
Okay.
The sherry cask is the one that is going to be the hard one to find. That took best bourbon in the world. They're not going to re-release this until 2030. So when that comes back out, it's going to be a minute.
Now it's distilled in Bardstown. Is it distilled by Bardstown?
It's distilled by Bardstown, and it's father and son buy the distillate and then re-age it themselves and secondary finish it. Kind of like what Barrel King's doing.
Right.
They kind of take it that step farther. So they're getting 8 and 9 year distillate on average and distilling them up. So for this one, the youngest whiskey in it's a 10-year. The oldest is a 13-year. The youngest whiskey in this is a 15-year. year. The oldest is 27 years. So they don't play. They know what
Sounds
the hell
like
they're
it.
doing. And the coolest part about them, I think, is their caps. They're all made out of old quarters. So they're just really like Americana.
So, I mean, this one's best whiskey in the entire world.
Yep.
And we're getting into Rise.
And it's the same price point as a Whistle Pig 10-year, and in my opinion, it's got way more layers.
15 stars is very, very tempting.
I'll tell you, if you're gonna
The
jump
price,
in on any
though,
of them
just-
on the bourbon side, do the triple cask, unless you can find the sherry, because they're both just ridiculously good. The First West and the Private Stock are great too. They're more like regular bourbon. Obviously, they're not finished, but these two are just special. They're drinking phenomenal.
I think I really want to try just like their normal. I like finishes, but I just kind of like the flavor of whiskey as well. Thank you. So I had a little sample of that 15 stars. It was good. I don't know if I liked it $140 good, but it was a really good bottle. One of those where I'd probably really have to judge it neat in a Glen, not in a rocks glass. But man, it was tasty. Had a great mouthfeel to it. Really nice whiskey. Excited for these that I did pick up. We are going to run and grab Jill and drop them off at the hotel, and then I'll pick up the hunt probably on the other side of town. I don't know. We'll see. I might stop at a store or two on the way to the hotel, but we'll catch up with y'all at the next store. All right, this one is a little ways out of the way, but these were all actually suggested by folks in Discord. Now, we've set up some local Discords for different states so that y'all can better organize, communicate. Like, this is all about community. We want to do everything we can to help folks organize, find other folks in their area, do bottle shares, do all sorts of stuff. Also, super helpful for when I'm randomly in a place and I have some time come up to hunt. I could drop it in there. Folks will suggest some. This one had a name though, even though it's a little bit out of the way, it had a name I couldn't pass up, and it's ABV Barrel Shop. And that just sounds like my kind of spot.
Hello, how you doing?
All right, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
Looks like you got stuff stuck everywhere. Anything in particular in here we should be looking for? Is everything single barrels or?
Yeah, that's what we do. Just single.
So just single barrels everywhere?
Yeah, we do some exceptions. I've got some friends that own some distilleries like Neely Family. I carry pretty much everything they carry. Buzzards Roost, same thing. The shelves on the walls there have a couple things for classes and things like that. We do some cocktail classes, and sometimes we'll try to expand the palette and do Irish whiskey or something like that. So a little bit of that's over there, and then back here's bottle and bond.
So what kind of classes are you doing here?
Tonight we're going to be rating our barrel picks. We have an in-store class called the Barrel Shop Syndicate, and
Okay.
those folks are going to be here rating our barrel picks.
So you buy a bunch of barrel picks and then they rank them just for fun?
Well, not for fun. So, I mean, these are people that come to the store all the time. They taste our barrel picks. They know what they are. It's not really for them. What it is for other people come in like yourself, haven't been in here before. How do you know what other people are liking, what the ones are? So they rate them on a score from 0 to 100.
Well, there you go.
So you can see our barrel picks rated by, not by us, not by the store owners or employees, rated by our customers.
What's the highest rated barrel pick you've ever had?
The American single malt over there from 10th Mountain Distillery.
Really? I'm not a single malt guy.
That's why it's such a good one, man. You're gonna like it.
The problem is for me to like a single malt, it'd have to not taste like a single malt.
It
Like
does
the
taste like a
essence.
single malt. You want to taste it?
Yes, of course I do. Dude, if I had a liquor store, this is about what it'd look like. I mean, I have a problem of trying to scale everything, so it'd have to be about 10 times bigger because we'd have stuff stuck everywhere, but this is awesome. It's got some barrel impact for sure. You're right in that there's not a lot there, I would say, tastes like a single malt. Right. It is.
It's a bourbon lover single malt.
Yeah, it is. It's very much that. But there's a little dry, dusty, like significant barrel impact, a little bit of raisin on it. I always attribute that to them aging something in a small barrel or oak state. Like it just got a ton of heat or something on it, so it extracted more barrel impact than a normal, say, 53-gallon Kentucky distillate would.
It is a 53-gallon barrel.
Okay.
It's out of Colorado, though, so definitely a different climate. You're talking about arid, a desert climate. Definitely impacts it different. What do you think the proof is?
It's really hard to judge with that dustiness. Like it just kind of masks it. I would have said there's a little bit of burn there. 116.
130.
130. Okay. Well, it definitely drinks less than that for
Definitely
sure.
drinks less
Because
than
I was
130,
having to stretch just to get the 116. That's a good barrel though. That is a good barrel. I'm trying to figure it out. As much craft whiskey as we try, a lot of it has that barrel impact, and I would have thought Colorado wouldn't have had as much heat. And so in a 53-gallon barrel in Colorado, I would have expected to have less barrel impact, not more.
No, you're talking about an arid climate, so what an arid climate's
be
going to
there.
do is going to pull out more water. So it's going to leave more alcohol in there, so it's going to change how you taste that barrel. So the proof tends to go up, hence the 130, and everything they do is 53-gallon barrels. It's not that old either. That's a 3-year-old product.
Detling stuff. I saw you got a bunch of Detling stuff in here.
Well, we had 2 barrels. We're down to 1 now.
We do a little bourbon hunting. Got a YouTube channel where we go bourbon hunting. So passing through the area, your shop came highly recommended. So we're just looking for anything interesting, mostly stuff we can't get back home, or a particularly interesting bottle, even if we can get it back home.
Dark Arch.
Okay.
Brand as hot as can be right now.
Is that their rye?
No, it's a rye finished in a maple barrel. It's not even something that they normally release. So I got to try that,
fancy.
Set it there.
This is not a flat bar.
No.
It rolls both ways. It's not. I was just going to try to show the stopper there, like very fancy.
There's usually a secondary finish on their Amberana. So he does
Okay.
maple barrel and Amberana. I'm not a big Amberana guy, so I said, that's ready to go. I want to buy that right as it is. It's been flying
Give you the
out.
knuckles on the Amberana hate right there.
Man, I'm not. It's overpowering. It's too much, and everybody's doing it. So
this one's the maple subtle on that one there?
yeah,
'Cause
yeah. I tell you what, the maple's so subtle, it doesn't even come off as maple. It comes
All
off
right.
as dark fruit.
I like subtle finishes. That's my whole problem with most finished whiskey.
Right.
Now, I am getting into some that are intentionally strong, like some of the Good Time stuff, where they're like, we're not trying to make subtle, right? They want it to be super strong finishes. So the Dark Arts Maple Finish Rye. Yeah, that's well done. Oh, man, that's good. That's a nice bottle right there. What's the price on that one?
That one's $100.
We'll hold on to that one for sure. I know we've got some Dark Art stuff at the house, but I definitely don't have that one. So you don't carry anything but barrel picks.
Correct.
So in a lot of states, a lot of places, you get barrel picks through selling a whole bunch of Fireball and. Now I noticed, like, obviously you don't have a lot of Buffalo Trace picks and those kinds of things. So you just focus on the more craft brands.
No, well, we get that stuff from time to time. Like we'll have a Jack Daniel's barrel pick that's hitting on Wednesday. I have a media company as well. So my media company allows me to forge those relationships that allows me to buy the whiskey. For the most part, the game is you sell X amount of things. You sell your Fireballs or your Wheatley vodka and all that kind of stuff. We don't do any of that. We don't have room for it, nor do we want to sell that. I'm a whiskey guy. We just utilize relationships that I have in the industry, and those friendships allows them to sell me a barrel from time to time.
What's your media company do?
Podcasts. I have the Bourbon Show and the Bourbon Daily. I'm on YouTube. I've got the Bourbon Sasquatch channel on YouTube. I make movies. I've got 5 different full-length feature documentaries out.
I don't listen to a ton of podcasts unless I'm traveling. We do listen to some, but the kids have gotten tired of bourbon podcasts when we travel, so now we just listen to people get murdered. That's the only thing we can agree on are murder mystery podcasts. So what's your YouTube channel?
Bourbon Sasquatch is the name of the YouTube channel. I'm new to that, but the other stuff been doing a while. So started doing podcasts in 2016.
Now subscribed right there, Bourbon Sasquatch.
Doing that type of thing. And again, what do you do with those relationships that you build up? You feature all these distilleries. You can have a really cool Rolodex of a bunch of really awesome people, or you can do business that makes them money and makes you money and allows them to expand their business in a very controlled way, because I have a built-in audience from the media company, and we get people coming in from all over the United States shopping here. So we have the ability to put them at a high-profile store, which we only got 1,000 square feet here. We're not a big store, but it's high profile in the bourbon industry, and a lot of my competitors copy off what we do. If they see we've got it, they want it. So yeah, it's an interesting position to be in.
That's cool. So you started the media first.
Yep.
And then that led to this.
That led to this.
Let's look around. Anything other than that Dark Arts I need to really keep? I've got some Detling barrels coming, so I'm going to leave your Detling, but a lot of our audience is in love with Detling off of a video we did with him, a couple of videos we did with him, and this stuff is getting really, really hard to find. I would be willing to bet it's extremely hard to find up here.
So are you the guy that did the video? Are you Brewzle?
Brewzle, yeah.
Brewzle.
Yeah.
I saw that video. That's the first time I watched it. Yeah, that's cool,
Awesome.
man.
Well, I appreciate it. We had a great time there. It was one of those days where it was like Sunday. The folks at Spillway Wine and Spirits are like, we're going to be down at Detling. You want to go? And I was like, man, I'm tired. I just got home from a trip. So I'm not doing anything. Let me ride down there. I'm so glad I did.
There's nobody around here. I mean, literally.
It's a mile off a paved road.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I've got an Elantra. I don't have a big car or anything like that. So I'm driving down there, and I'm like, man, if it starts raining, I got to get out of here, because I don't know if I can make it out.
Yeah, I don't know if it came through in the video, but at the end of the video, we were actually going to try his rye bourbon that he's really proud of, that he's about to, I think he's maybe a year or two away from releasing. We're walking to the Rick House, and he's a volunteer firefighter. He got a call, and he just left us. He's just like, guys, gotta go. And then we're just sitting there like, Rick House is open. Like, we're just in it, like we're in a distillery by ourselves now, right? And he just bounced on. So Luckily, we didn't drink too much. I promise you, we didn't drink too much. So you do these classes regularly?
Regularly, yeah, 2 or 3 times a week. I mean, it's people from the industry come in, present their products. We do a lot of pairings, food pairings with whiskey or barrel picks. We do educational classes and much more. Dancing Goat, what do you know about them?
Nothing.
So Dancing Goats was started by a guy by the name of Tom Moss. Tom Moss worked for Jim Beam for 30 years. Tom Moss retires. He decides he's done with work. He's just going to enjoy the retired life. He's one of those guys, though, once he got out of work and he didn't like it, so he decided he had to do something else. So they come up with a product called Rum Chata. So Rum Chata takes off, becomes the hottest thing going. Bartenders start putting it in cocktails, and they end up selling it out to Ernest and Julio Gallo. With the money that they have from that, they can decide they can do what Tom always wanted to do to begin with, open a whiskey distillery and do it the right way. So Dancing Goat is a Willy Wonka chocolate factory type of place. It's really cool. We've got a product over there that is a tribute to Tom. It's right here, and it is called Tommy's Malted Bang Dog. So it is a bourbon blend, but the secondary whiskey in there is single malt, but it is the lesser of the 2 blends. It's a tribute to Tommy, and his nickname's Bang Dog because he comes in, he's very loud, big guy, and so his son decided to do that. They're selling 1 single barrel. That is here at the ABV Barrel Shop. That's it. The rest is put in, batched, and put out to a blend that they're going to be selling out through their gift shop. You want to try this?
Yeah, might as well. While we're at it, he keeps hitting me with these malts, man.
Yeah.
He's testing me with these malts. Yeah. I mean, obviously that's not a single malt, but it's a blended malt. But
yep, there's malt whiskey in there.
It's still good. Not something I would go back to a lot. Kind of like that other one with the barrel impact, but I like them a lot better than I thought I would.
So if you're looking for something along the lines of a classic bourbon pick, Buzzard's Roost.
Okay.
You know anything about them?
A little bit, but fill me in.
So Buzzard's Roost was started by a guy by the name of Jason Bronner. Jason Bronner owns the best bourbon bar in the world. It's called the Bourbon's Bistro. Literally the first bar to put bourbon in its name. There's always been whiskey bars, but in 2005, he was the first bar to focus on bourbon. So his goal was to have every bourbon that's available, to focus on bourbon education behind the bar, and he started doing a lot of the things that we see today. Barrel picks. The first barrel picks with places like Four Roses or Woodford were done by Bourbon's Bistro, his place. So he still owns Bourbon's Bistro today. Definitely encourage you to go there. Great food, great whiskey, but also he has now Buzzard's Roost, which is the brand that he started.
Where's his place located?
His distillery and his restaurant are in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
So the distillery's on Whiskey Row. The restaurant's a little bit east of that.
Definitely have to check that out. Didn't realize, I mean, I knew a little bit about Buzzard's Roost, but I didn't know a whole lot about the restaurant. Bloody Butcher Corn. I bought a Bloody Butcher Corn bottle earlier today. I don't expect to like them. The couple I've had, they're good. They're just like whiskey nerd good. Like they're not something you just go to all the time. They're just like dusty, kind of, yeah, just, you know, different. And I'm curious if that, I keep buying them because I'm curious if that's all Bloody Butcher Corn or if that's just the ones I've tried.
That's the note that you're going to get the most of. But yeah, there's times when, depending on the distillery and the barrel, it can be some of the best whiskey you've ever had.
One Old Granddad 114 here. At an Alberta Premium.
Yep, we started a new department there called Our Favorites. So those are things that we don't normally carry. We just get in a bottle at a time and throw it out there.
Dude, that's cool.
We stock it once a month, and then when it sells out, that shelf's empty. And so we're mid-month right now. It's about halfway sold out.
This is absolutely the strangest liquor store I've ever been in my entire life, and I love it.
Love it. There's nobody else who does this.
Dude, I'm going to take that dark arts off your hands right there. You sold me on that one. I appreciate it.
Throw my card in. Check it out what we got going on.
I appreciate it. Well, that is an unusual shop. Honestly, the strangest liquor store I've ever been in. Not often you see something completely unique and different. And if I owned a liquor store, it'd probably be something a lot like that. I just don't know if something like that could work in a small town. Like you almost need to be in a city to have enough folks that are interested in something like that. The classes, all the different things, like you don't just make enough money to pay that rent off of selling bottles, at least I wouldn't think, but all of it together kind of works. So it's interesting to see something unique and different, but it's time to hit the next door. Well, I take that back. It is indeed not time to hit the next door. Well, I hit the next door, but y'all are not going to get to follow along because unfortunately sometimes Google Drive just doesn't like our footage. And we had a corrupt clip or so that just won't make this video. And that sucks because that last store was a fun one. We hung out in there for quite some time, had a good time. Unfortunately, not a lot we can do about that if we don't have the footage. I'm glad our editors were able to salvage this, make a whole video out of it, but you know, that's the nature of the beast sometimes. We do the best we can, and we'll continue to evolve and figure out how to not use Google Drive anymore, because things like this sometimes happen. And the thought of the day today is going to be, I don't know, check, double check, triple check before you do something irreversible. You know, cut twice, measure once, measure twice, cut once. Exactly. I always do it backwards. Sometimes we lose footage, but I appreciate y'all watching all the way to the end. We'll see y'all in the next one.